Hello and welcome, Magic Folk, to this bonus episode that I was telling you about, where I got a handful of people who are going to be talking about their MagiCon Minneapolis experience. It was very fun for me to get these people recorded, and I am so damn excited to have you guys listen to their bits, their stories that they have with MagiCon Minneapolis. So without any further ado, let's hear these beautiful magic folk and what they have to say about their experience down at MagiCon Minneapolis.
Hey, I'm Casey, and here is my experiences at Minneapolis MagiCon. I guess I'll start off saying that the conference was set up really well, where if you wanted to do Commander, they had people running around finding lobbies for that, and so that was nice. And then it wasn't crowded. Like, the Commander space was pretty full always, but it wasn't, you had adequate space to move around. It wasn't like back to back with another table necessarily. There was a nice zone off to the side for tournaments for people who were doing that, and if you wanted to hop in, it was cool just to have, they had some people who could just set you up for whatever event was going on in the next hour there. They also had on-demand events for a bunch of stuff. And then when you were doing that, you could just see a bunch of random sort of Magic celebs walking around, a bunch of online personalities and stuff, and then so that was really cool. I'd say one of the big things for me was seeing a few of the sort of YouTube personalities. I thought it was cool to see Ristic Studies after he did one of his panels with some of the art directors of Magic. He was just sort of hanging out with his friends. So that was cool. I also met Ketchup Guy, who is a professional Magic player. Forgot his real name, but I gave him ketchup when I was drunk at some bar. What bar was that?
That was Brit's Pub, and that was Benton Madsen.
Benton Madsen. He got some ketchup. Yeah. Humbled twice. Once by Reed Duke and once by me giving him ketchup for no reason.
I really hope he remembers that.
I hope he talks about it sometime. That's the goal. To be like, oh yeah, and if you listen to this audio clip, I'm the guy that this guy said was an idiot. And just gave him ketchup at some random bar in Minneapolis. Who else? There was CGB, which was cool because I watch a lot of Arena, and he's kind of a big Arena guy. And he was nice. He was doing something. There was like an Arena booth, a little Arena booth. Out of everything, that was the smallest little thing. Was like the little Arena booth. So it was cool to see that they didn't try really push Arena super hard like they were during COVID. It was kind of like just a little thing off to the side. But yeah, that was in the same room as the Pro Tour, which was also really cool to see that going on. It was kind of blocked off to everybody. All the filthy casuals couldn't get in there, but the pros were going at it, playing Magic, and they were live streaming that in the other sort of rooms of the conference, which was cool because I was waiting to get some stuff signed by Chris Ron, and I could watch a little bit of the Pro Tour. It wasn't super clear because it was kind of off to the side. It wasn't like every wall of the stadium, but it was pretty good to see that. I thought they were playing Pioneer, but they were actually playing Standard. So I was talking to some guy. I was like, oh yeah, I think that guy's playing Rakdos, because I could tell they were playing Fable and stuff. But he was actually playing a Standard Rakdos, and I was like, oh, that just kind of tells you where Standard's at and how good Fable is, which is funny. Yeah, now they did that thing where their Standard's like 3 years or something, trying to get people to play it, and people are like, oh, now they'll ban Fable, and they haven't said anything yet. So see where that goes. I'm happy I don't play Standard, because that would kind of... I have the card, but it's like, geez. It'd be a grind to try to like get any headway on any other decks when that super good card's hanging out there, So, with nothing to really... I don't know. It's tough to beat, but, yeah. Yeah. Other than that, I'm trying to think of like the big stuff. Oh yeah, and then I got some stuff signed by Chris Ron, which is cool. It was cool to see some artists actually, and man, if I ever do that again, I'm going to make it a higher priority to get those lines done early when less people are sort of have put it off, because they look like not long lines, but man, they are long lines. Yeah, my entire Sunday was like, got there at whatever, before the doors opened, stood in that big line to get into the zone. Stood in a line for the whole the whole Sunday was like 10 to 3:30 is when Garrett and I left, and I got my stuff signed, and people were dropping like flies, and I was like, holy shit, that was a long line. But it was cool to meet him, and he was a really nice guy, and I talked to him a little bit about the process and stuff, and he said he drew some cards for the next Ixalan, and he's super excited for that. So I am too. Love the dinosaurs. I got an artist proof of Wayward Swordtooth for $10, and I was like, $10? The card is $10. I'll definitely get a proof of that. That one was a good deal, but yeah, it was crazy. He signed one of my Llanowar elves. Of course, I had 3 of the wrong Llanowar elves and 1 of the right ones, so that's just how it goes. It was a crazy fun time with a lot of stuff, and then yeah, it was a good time. I don't know what else to say. I don't know what I was expecting going in, but probably something like that, and it was cool to go to something like that and see everybody and see a bunch of people who are big into Magic and all the stuff going on there. So if it happened again in like a couple of years, I'd probably go back if it was in the cities or something like that. So.
Okay, well, my name is Garrett Johnson. I'm from Grand Forks, North Dakota, and I had a great time at MagiCon Minneapolis. I have never been to one of these events before, but I went all in on the Legendary VIP experience because tax return season's nice sometimes. Overall, I got down there. We had a great time at the Airbnb we stayed at. All the Magic I got to play that weekend was insane. I got to try out my new Modern deck. I got to play most of my Commander decks throughout the weekend. And overall, it was pretty insane. I started off by taking the 5-hour drive down solo. Arrived around 11 p.m. and already got 1 game of Magic in with some of the guys from the MTG podcast you're listening to. Then we got up the next morning, and I got to go and see Minneapolis Convention Center for the first time. We got there, got our badges already in, and once we were in, we went and claimed all that merch, which there was quite a lot of that for that Legendary VIP. Only thing I was a little disappointed in the Legendary VIP was there was a Commander merch item that turned out to just be a little thermos cup thing that said Legendary essentially on it. But overall, everything else was great. I got some pins, I got a playmat that I used all weekend, I got some what was it again, I got some arcane signets that I was really sweet to see, those like Thanos gauntlet ones. And then we went in, I got to see the entire floor, and I mainly spent the first day seeing all the artists. I got my playmat from John Avon. I got 2 signed cards from him, a Forest and a Scorched Ruins. I then went to some of the other artists like Mark Poole, who signed 5 of my basic lands for my draft box that I built. I got, Aaron Miller to sign my newest commander, who is Orthelian, Hero of Lava Brink. That was pretty sweet. And then I also was able to go and get all of my merch items from the official show store, such as my Phyrexian hat and Phyrexian shirt, and was even able to get some of my friends at the podcast here a discount on some of their items from the official show store. So that was pretty sweet. By day 2, I didn't really have any events day 1, but day 2, we got up and went back to the con, got plenty of games of Magic in the night before. And I kind of spent the second day just playing in the command zone, a couple more checking out artists, getting some tokens, and I got to participate in Gavin Verhey's Unknown event, which was basically a nice draft of March of the Machine mixed with some Mystery Booster Convention Edition, and he threw in a pack of playtest cards, all of which were kind of mom-themed. And we built decks, and as we begun to play, he announced that in addition to that, we basically had a global planes chase going on through this sealed event. And that was the Unknown event. Walked away with some cool points, and as well as I got to take all the playtest cards home, and they had a prize playtest legendary creature card that I might have to build that's based on choosing a single plane, so might have to do that. After we got done at the con, just kind of playing a bunch of games, different events. Legendary VIP had its own Commander event, which was Planes Chase in a similar form, but Commander. Went to the Airbnb with the guys, had a couple of drinks, and we played some more Commander and just into the night. Got a lot of Commander, got to play my modern deck for the first time. Actually didn't lose with my Boros Burn deck all weekend, so that was sweet. And then the third day we got there, it was kind of a bummer because I was already having so much fun. I couldn't imagine not being able to do it for another day. But got in there, got to play some more Commander, got some CDH games in. I also got some cards signed by Brian Keebler. I got to see Olivia. I even got a Commander game in with Covert Go Blue. So that was pretty sweet. We then proceeded to play one more unknown event. Same format, new set of cards. Just a lot of fun. And I walked away with a bunch of signed cards. I got I got to watch Game Nights live on Friday, front row. That was sweet. And I also got to I got a signed card from Kibler. I got a signed card from I didn't get one from Gavin Verhey. I missed out on that one. But I ended up trading all my points in on the last day for a Littler Walker's Secret Lair that they had as one of the prize wall prizes. And I bought on the last day a Game Nights box that I actually won a Humility in. So that was pretty sweet. Overall, after that and driving back 5 hours, I would do it again in a heartbeat.
My name is Chris. I am from New York. Actually Manhattan, born and raised, but I live in Queens. I know it sounds weird. I'm a New Yorker. I'm weird. Sorry. But recently I was at MagiCon Minneapolis. I was also at MagiCon Philly, I should say. MagiCon Minneapolis was, from start to finish, I think an overall better experience as compared to Philly. I heard a lot of people that went to MagiCon Vegas for Magic 30. They said that Minneapolis was so much better than Philly, so much better than Vegas. And for me, I can really say that it was a great experience from start to finish. I think just having, from the time you walk in, it was just so spacious. The hall that they were using was so much bigger than Philly. You didn't feel as cramped and as on top of each other as you were. The one thing I saw personally was the fact that in Philly, there were a lot of walls that were separating people left and right from either the Black Lotus VIP or the command zone back in Philadelphia. You had to pay for to get into, and it was cordoned off, and you had to really show your badge for it. Whereas I think when the players and the community at large decided, hey, we're paying X amount of dollars to get into the convention, and now we have to pay extra to play the game, people just started going on their own and making a command zone, so to speak, in the free play area. And I think that's when they took that, they saw it, when WotC saw that, MagiCon Minneapolis, the biggest thing they did was create the command zone free for everybody. I think that was the best thing they ever did. Having also designated people there to, if you're looking for a game, they helped you. They figured out where a pod you could fit in, things like that. As far as the vendors go, there were definitely some really, your standard vendors, your Ultra Pro, your Star City Games, Cool Stuff Inc. You have all those other guys. And then maybe some also local people that were there as well. It was great because you can go from vendor to vendor and maybe get a better deal on the card that you couldn't normally get. Whether if you're ordering either on TCG Player or Card Kingdom, you go to these events, sometimes they will discount it so they can sell it, which I thought was a great thing. I picked up a few cards myself. One of them was actually, I got a Darksteel Forge that I actually put into my Urtet Remnant of Menarch deck, which actually helped out a lot. But I think overall you had space to walk around. The vendors were spread out. You weren't having, even if you're looking at, let's say, a bulk area, you didn't have people on top of you looking at those cards, which was great. As far as I would say the art of magic, so you were meeting the artists, it was great because they were also spread out. But of course, the lines were insane. They were just long. If you weren't there as soon as they opened the doors to the hall and didn't get online right away, you might have been screwed out of getting to see someone getting an autograph or being able to get something signed. I got very lucky. I actually did all my playing on day one. Excuse me, I did playing and buying on day one. And day two, all I did was go to the Art of Magic, get some prints, get some signatures, and then I played the rest of the day. I just wanted to break up my days. I should say I only was at MagiCon for Saturday and Sunday, just because, I mean, I'm also a working dad, you know, life in general comes in the way. You can't really get off that much. But even for 2 days, it was great. There were a lot of panels going on as well. One of the best things that I saw was, of course, the cosplay contest. I saw it in Philly. It was amazing in Philly. I think Minneapolis took it up to the next level. I'm excited for what's going to happen in Barcelona because there's a lot of cosplayers doing really cool things. Actually, I might get into cosplay myself just because of it, because even that community is just insane. Just seeing how they all really push each other, all because of magic. It's just insane. But overall, I think a good experience. I think there, like anything, there's always tweaks that can be made. There are, I would say, a few other things I would have said was maybe have a couple more food vendors, because food was a little bit lacking. There were, of course, the main, venue vendors that were there, overpriced as always, but a few other vendors would have been cool. At Philly, they actually had a local, I would say, soda seltzer person that you could buy a mug and you get free refills for the whole day, which is great. I wish they had that at MagiCon, because there were times where you were getting thirsty and you wanted a drink, but now you have to pay $5, $6, $7 for a bottle of water, and unfortunately that just you're already paying a lot to go to you have to pay to go to the con. You have to pay for travel expenses, hotel if you're coming in from other places like me. You're paying for merchandise, which is expensive. This hobby is way too expensive, but it's an awesome hobby. But now you have to pay that little extra $5 to $6 every time you want a bottle of water. I wish WotC would realize, hey, maybe get some local vendors to come in and maybe do a food court area, which would be cool. That's my one criticism, I would say. Overall, I thought it was great. I thought where they had the tournament that was next to the command zone, the tournament area, which was cool because in Philly, it was completely separate. It was on a different level. You didn't see that area. You didn't know where it was. It was hard to get into. Granted, there was still trouble signing up for tournaments, but I think it was a lot easier this time around because it was right there. You could ask anybody. You could ask any of the judges or the people the crew that work there, and they will tell you exactly how to sign up for tournaments or probably like scheduled games and things like that. Overall, I think it was the best con I've been to, and I've been to a few other cons as well. I've been to, of course, the big one is Comic-Con here in New York. That thing is huge. You can't compare it. But I think MagiCon Minneapolis has been my favorite con that I've been to overall. Just because, one, the community is awesome. People are really into the game. Of course, there are some people that are a little bit too much into the game, if you want to know what I mean. But I think it's a great community. I think people love this game. They want to keep playing it. They want to have fun with their friends, and they just want to enjoy the crazy, silly things that we can do with cards, with Magic the Gathering cards. But yeah, overall, MagiCon was awesome.
Hi, my name is Noah. I'm one of the patrons of this cast. To share a little bit about my Magic 30 experience, it was a wonderful time, just tons of great games. I got to meet a lot of different people and play in a lot of different really interesting events. However, right next to the event, one of my more fond memories was on a Friday night after we had eaten up and gone back to my brother's place. It was me and my friend Jade sitting down to play a 3-player Commander game, which is not ideal, but they can be fun. So to set the stage, my brother is on the Grixis Spellslinger Stranger Things 11 deck. That was his commander. He didn't have a partner for it. So he just wants to cast some big fat spells and do some weird stuff. I am on my slow bad deck, the one from one. So I want to just ramp out into as large of golems and large artifacts as soon as possible and smash face. My friend Jade is a huge Stompy player and absolutely loves Blightsteel Colossus. So he was playing the new Atali, which is basically a dinosaur version of Blightsteel Colossus, or as close as you can get to it at home. The game goes like this. We're all ramping, we're all sort of doing things. I'm seeing my hand, it's looking good. My friend Jade then makes the comment about his hand. It's like, wow, this land doesn't tap for mana. This is stupid. We play another turn, and I ramp out a Blightsteel Colossus. I'm thinking, okay, this is a 3-player game. It's real quick. I have this in the bag. We're almost done. Then he plays the land that doesn't tap for mana, and it is, you guessed it, Maze of Ith. So now this game's not over, and it just got real interesting. Now, Jade, being the Stompy player that he is, then proceeded to cast a Galta and equip it with the artifact that gives it, in fact, in +2/+2, Grafted Exoskeleton. So he did Blightsteel at home, or I'll build your own Blightsteel. For the fun of it, we ram both of our Blightsteels into each other, because why not? It's a fun, casual game. He ends up with a 3/3 Galta with a bunch of neg1 counters on it, and my Blightsteel gets shuffled into my library. We continued to play the game, lots of really good interaction, back and forth, no clear winner. My brother exists, I guess, but he was controlling the board while my friend and I were basically going at each other and occasionally punching him. It gets to the point where now my friend has ramped up enough that he casts his Atali. And if you know what Atali does, when it ETBs, I want to say, it flips the top card of each opponent's and your own library until it hits a permanent and hits a spell and puts it onto the battlefield. In response to the Atali trigger, he Worldly Tutors to put his own personal Blightsteel on top of the library, which happens to be Megatron. So then my brother, he hits like maybe a removal spell off my brother, but then, would you know it, he hits my Blightsteel again. So at the end of the day, he won the game by having Blightsteel, Megatron Blightsteel, Galta Blightsteel, or also known as Build Your Own Blightsteel, and then Atali Blightsteel. It was an excellent game. It was just one of the many great games I had over the course of that weekend. Shout out to everybody standing in lines and grinding through for those signatures. Otherwise, it was a great, wonderful weekend.
I'm Garrett Anderson, West Fargo, North Dakota, co-host of This Week in MTG. Awesome. MagiCon was the first ever big Magic event I went to, and I went in with not low expectations, but definitely not super high expectations, just because you go in with those super high expectations and don't live up to it, you get let down. But good God, the expectations I set for myself in this and just what my experience would be were like upper middle, so 75%, and by the end of the week I was flying high because I got to play plenty of Magic, even doing non-on-demand events. I did a lot of on-demand events. I did a mystery booster draft, which was a lot of fun. Did a lot of Commander events, which I ended up getting paired up with a lot of the same people over and over again because we were all doing the same thing, like, hey, let's get the points, but we want to play Commander. And just had a lot of fun chatting with people. I got a lot of good conversations about the podcast in, even though our bingo cards didn't work out like we were hoping they would. Got a lot of fun, like, all right, guys, so here's the thing. My buddies and I are doing a podcast tonight. Like, we picked our decks. We figured out turn order and everything. I'm like, okay, cool. By the way, whoever wins who's not me gets this. All right, cool, thanks, bye. I don't, like, a lot of people sat down and were like, what the fuck? And one guy I played with on Saturday played me again on Sunday. And he's like, what the fuck? You didn't do this yesterday? And so that was a lot of fun doing that. But then, like, sitting there and getting to experience going through the artist area myself versus, like, on all these other big events, if I got people going, it's like, hey, can you look for tokens for me? Type of thing. So I actually got to sit and, like, the artists that maybe weren't as big and didn't have these big lines were actually sitting there chatting with me for a little bit. So that was really cool. And one of them, I was like, oh yeah, I've got a lot of tokens from you, but this is the first time I'm coming to meet you and everything. And he's like, oh, cool. What's your favorite token of mine? And God, I fucking forgot his name. But the guy who did my Gyarados tokens for my Serpent Coils for my Coma deck. I was like, my favorite's definitely got to be the Gyarados for this deck because I love playing this deck and everything. But then for me, I put like a side quest out for myself because like all the folks from game nights were going to be there and a lot of people that have been on the show were going to be there. And so I got the Epic Play mat when I did the Kickstarter for it. And so I already had some signatures from Jimmy and Josh on there, and I would have loved to have met them again, or met them in the first place, like get them to sign on another place. But God, their line was so long, and I wanted to go experience a bunch of other stuff. And so I just made it my quest, if they had been on game nights and I saw them, grab a signature from them. And I ended up seeing a lot of those folks in the command zone, just sitting there playing games and stuff. And I felt bad going up there playing games. I'm like, hey, sorry to bother you, but I'm really big fan. I was wondering if I could get your signature on this playmat. And a lot of like Lady Danger, I ended up finding her. So that one, like the guys here with This Week in MTG knew that was the one signature I was looking for. So I went over to the game nights area on Sunday morning. I was like, hey guys, I know Lady Danger's not going to be here for sure, like here until 4 o'clock, but I'm leaving at 4. Do you guys have an idea when she's planning on coming to the space? Like here, like MagiCon. They're like, oh yeah, she's here playing somewhere. Like go check out the command zone. She's probably hanging out there. So I'm sitting fucking scoping out the command zone going, God damn it, I hope her hair's green because I'm looking for green hair right now. And she was wearing a hat and stuff, but you could see some of it pop on. I was like, fucking Christ, there she is. And so she, like, there's another guy that, like, went and talked to her first and was talking to her during her turn and everything. And, getting her to sign stuff. And, like, then it was her turn, and I was like, I waited, and then waited another turn cycle because the other guy was kind of still sitting there chatting with her. And I was like, she finished her turn. I was like, hey, lady, I understand you just got done with your turn and everything, but I was waiting for your turn to be done so I didn't distract you. Can I get a quick signature? She's like, oh, hell yeah. By the way, thanks for waiting. My ADHD kicks in really hard, so I'm glad you waited for my turn to be done. So that was really cool. And then, like, the table across from them was Black Nito. And so I went over to him like, hey, man, I saw you play on game nights first, and then I watched you while you're on I Hate Your Deck, and now I watch your new channel. And like he stood up, had a good like 3-4 minute conversation with me, just asking me if I was having fun and everything, and got him to sign. Took a picture with him, posted it up on social media and everything. And I would have wanted to tag him, but he had his settings so he couldn't tag him and stuff. Which, so be it, whatever. But then at the end of it, he's like, "Oh hey man, by the way, I want to give you something." I was like, "Oh cool," and he gave me a 4/4 Angel token, and it's got him on it. I was like, "Oh fuck yeah, man." And I'm like, he's like, I don't know if you'll use this, but here you go. I'm like, dude, I have an Angels deck. This is awesome. And so we nerded out for about another minute about Angel decks, and it was really cool. But more or less, definitely if another event like this comes, not 2 weekends after, I'm definitely going again. So I had a great time at MagiCon and loved every minute of it. Outside of MagiCon stuff, definitely look into your housing and everything you're going to do while you're there. The Airbnb was a great idea. Wish there was some other stuff that would have gone well with it, because I know Matt ran into a lot of angry, loud noise messages when we were just walking around or having very, very quiet conversations. But that kind of a thing, it was fun to do that because it was like, hey, instead of going out to a bar, let's just go back to the house and drink our beer that we bought, play some more games, and not worry about some random guy just coming up, grabbing cards and throwing them everywhere. Not saying anyone would have done that, but it's fun not to have to worry about that, other than Anthony coming around doing it at the house. It was really weird.
What?
But no, honestly, it was a great experience. I loved doing it, and I'm glad I got to experience it with a lot of my friends. So that was a great thing, too.
And there you have it, Magic folk. That is this very special bonus clip episode of people who have attended MagiCon Minneapolis. Again, it was a true joy and delight to hear from Casey, Garrett, Noah, Chris, and Big G. Since he wasn't on the episode, you heard my thoughts on the episode the week before. Not this earlier this week, the week before. You know what I mean. That's when you heard mine, you heard Anthony, you heard Danny's, you heard Amuse, all of our thoughts on MagiCon Minneapolis. It was great. It was wonderful. We recommend it. We will do it again when given the chance. God, yeah, no, it's fabulous. Fabulous is one of the best ways to describe it. Now, yeah, thank you for making it to the end of this bonus episode of This Week in MTG. And make sure to follow us on all of the social medias. Subscribe to us on whatever podcatcher of your choice. New episodes come out every week. And yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. Thank you very much. And we'll catch you next time.